We are seeing a wave of labor action across the country in the midst of this pandemic. Yesterday, workers for the grocery delivery app Instacart held a one-day strike demanding hazard pay and access to protective equipment. Today, employees from the grocer Whole Foods did a sick-out. We've also seen labor action by sanitation workers who walked off the job demanding protective equipment and hazard pay as well. And at Amazon, which has seen its sales soar, not surprisingly, is now hiring 100,000 new warehouse and delivery people as a result. Workers across the country have said the conditions inside the warehouses are unsafe. Yesterday, more than a dozen workers in Amazon's Staten Island warehouse walked out in protest. The organizer of that walkout, Christian Smalls, joins me now. He was fired from Amazon after that walkout. I should tell you, we talked to Amazon today. They refused to speak on the record. They did provide us with a statement. They claim that they did not fire Mr. Smalls because he organized the walkout. Rather, he was fired because he violated, they say, a medical quarantine and came on site yesterday. And Mr. Smalls joins me now. We can get to the firing, but first I just want to ask you about what conditions in the warehouse have been like and why you felt the need to do something about them.
Well, as you know, this pandemic shocked the world, shocked America. The conditions in the warehouse has been hugely different. It's been scary. It's been like a ghost town in there. Associates are scared to come to work. Ever since the pandemic hit us, I've never seen something like this directly. I've seen associates get sick weekly, different type of symptoms, talking about vomiting, dizziness, fatigue. You name it, I've seen it. And it's been scary. It's been very scary.
When you talk about it, so you say that workers that you're working with, you've seen them get sick. Are you able to maintain any kind of distance in that environment? Have you been provided with things like masks to kind of prevent transmission?
No, that's the thing. Our PPE is very limited at the time. We don't have masks. The gloves that we have are not latex. They're used for lifting up boxes. As far as the environment, like you said, you just stated 100,000 employees being hired. Amazon hiring process is very scary because you're bringing in large loads of crowds off the streets, and these people are undiagnosed. We don't know where they're coming from. We don't know their status when they're coming into the building. They're coming in large groups, 30, 40, 50 people at a time. There's no way we can tell who is diagnosed and who is not. And the company is not being transparent about, who has this virus and who doesn't. So that's the scariest thing.
In terms of the demands for the walkout, and I know it was about a dozen people, the company says, look, there are thousands of folks who are working. This is a very small group of people that are unhappy. What do you want to see happen? If you could sit down with Jeff Bezos and tell him these are the top three things that we need to happen at your company, what would that be?
Well, number one, there definitely need to be a transparency of how many cases are confirmed in this building. Why is it such a secret? Me being a part of management, being a PA, a process assistant, we in a sync meeting, and they're telling me there's the one confirmed case in the building and do not tell the associates. That right there was just alarming right there. Why can't the associates know that there's confirmed cases in the building? So there needs to be a transparency between that. There definitely is a disconnect between that and Jeff Bezos need to listen to the associates. It's not just this building; it's buildings all across the nation. As you can see, there's cases popping up one by one, building by building. That should be a red flag that there's something very wrong with the process and the safety procedures that's going on in these buildings. So yesterday was a cry for help, and a statement. I was giving the people voices that are unheard. And that's what I wanted to do. I want to continue shedding light to the people that are unpaid right now, people that have underlying health conditions that are sitting home for the entire month of March that haven't been paid. There's people that have lupus. There's people that have bronchitis. There's people that have asthma. We have senior citizens that they hired as well, 55, 65. These people can't come to work. This virus has no remorse. So I'm speaking up for them. Yesterday, my demonstration was a statement.
Let me ask you about your termination. They fired you after the walkout. They say that you were violating company policy. You should have been staying out of there because you've been exposed to a sick worker. You were imperiling the health of others. What do you say to that?
Well, I'll say that's totally false. Number one, the associate that I sent home on Tuesday, she was working the entire shift, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, up until the point where I sent her home. Her results came back Wednesday. So I had no idea that she was going to test positive. I was only around her for less than 5 minutes. We had a brief conversation early in the morning around 9:30. She looked ill. She had a mask on. She had gloves on. I stood from a distance. We had a brief conversation. I suggested that she go home because she informed me that she was testing. She went for a testing the night before. And we all know that you don't get the test unless you're showing severe symptoms. So the policies with Amazon is very flawed, because if you've gone for testing, you shouldn't be allowed back into the building. And the problem, the discrepancy is you're actually allowed to come to work sick or undiagnosed until they receive a confirmation letter from the doctor, which is crazy for me because she went for testing on Monday. Her confirmation letter didn't come in until Thursday. As you know, we're in New York, and the doctors are overwhelmed right now. They don't have time to send out an email to the CDC and the CDC to contact the job. So it took a number of days for that to get through. And she actually had the window of opportunity to come to work. So thank God I sent her home on Tuesday and she didn't return. But if I didn't send her home, she would have been able to work another 10-hour shift and possibly put more people at risk.
Right. So the point there being that this is not like that they've been real fastidious about quarantine policy here, if that's what they're clinging to. The policy is at all.
The policy is very flawed, and they need to take a very good look at it. Once again, I was only around her for 5 minutes. She was around every employee in my department for 10 plus hours. So who is the medical expertise for Amazon that's making these decisions that I need to be quarantined and not my employees, not the employees in that department? Like, how do they make that decision? And what do they consider coming into close contact? Is it walking into somebody? Is it touching somebody? Is it having a conversation? So these are the things that the questions that they need to be answered.
Christian Smalls, thank you so much for taking time tonight. Thank you for the work that you and your colleagues at Amazon in those warehouses have been doing for the rest of the country. Appreciate it.